More rumblings in the NHL. Kevin Weeks of ESPN reporting that the Sabres are working on a 7-year extension worth around $7 million per year for forward Zach Benson. Benson, of course, is an RFA this offseason, and while nothing is official yet, we'll keep you up to date if anything else comes down the line today. And do stay tuned. Paul Hamilton will join the show in just a little bit at 5:30. Now, though, to some official hockey news, defenseman Darren Radish is not going to hit the open market. It is a sign and trade. Toronto, they get Radish. They sign him to an 8-year, $8.5 million per year deal, and the Lightning, in return, get a 5th-round pick in this year's draft. To the World Cup, USA and Australia, they are taking the field now in Seattle. No Christian Pulisic, though, for the United States. He is dealing with a calf injury. But for today, the U.S. win, it'll secure them a spot in the knockout stage, and they can clinch the group tonight with a win plus a Turkey draw or loss against Paraguay later on this evening. That game is going to be at 11 o'clock, so it'll be a little bit of a wait, even if the U.S. wins before we find out their fate. Other games today, Scotland versus Morocco at 6, and then at 8:30, Brazil taking on Haiti. Round 2 of the U.S. Open, that is underway. Wyndham Clark sits alone at the top, 7 under for the tournament. Do stay tuned at 5. Brian Kozel is going to join the show for the latest on what we've seen over at Shinnecock. And then in baseball, Bisons, they play host to Charlotte at 6:35 tonight. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. While in the majors, Jays, they are currently down 7-0 to the Cubs. That game in the second. And the Yankees, they're going to host Cincinnati later on tonight, just after 7 o'clock. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Filled with water, just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm gonna set up the speaker and I'm gonna listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it and I like his aggressiveness on it and
the Bulldog.
Put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mumble rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need the spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
You know that thing about how people say, wait, with the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change on a place. Like, but, it's not like we're the mountains or a coastal region where the weather can be really volatile and change quickly. But we did just have there is that thing, Buffalo, sunny, snow, rain, whatever. It probably happened. I think like October, the October storm maybe was a day where it was sunny and nice, and then it snowed. I walked in here at 2:55. Brad and Tim are clearing out, and 2 of the 3 of us, I don't think Tim really gave a crap. Brad is on his way to baseball outside in North Tonawanda, so he cared. And, I care about everything. So wow, it's pouring. Like, sitting here getting ready to start the show, thinking I want to talk about how it's pouring. Because, who doesn't want to hear that, right? I'm like, tune in 3 o'clock for that. And it's already sunny and blue skies back. So if you're hearing this weather coming your way, it appeared to be sweeping through like North Towns and heading east, maybe ticking the city, probably already has. If it was going to, it'll be over fast. So don't feel like, oh, I was going to go do the Bison game. And you see it's pouring and thundering and lightning, just in 5 minutes it'll be fine. Maybe 20. Okay, I'm exaggerating on the low end there. But it's like gorgeous and perfect here in Amherst now. And like literally 8 minutes ago, I thought maybe like the lightning was going to strike the building. So focus up. We got a lot going on. There's a lot happening in the world. The World Cup is going on. Team USA is playing Australia. The U.S. Open in golf is going on. Right away, tough decision. I'm working, so it's not like I'm just sitting at a bar or on my couch where, not so much at a bar, but at a bar you could have 2 TVs. Certainly, usually not a picture-in-picture situation in a bar, but more than one TV, you could keep tabs on and watch both of these events. At home, split screen, if they're on the same streamer and that streamer has split screen capabilities, because not all of them do, you could do it. Me, I got one TV, and, it's fine. It's a fine TV, but I'm not going to be changing channels. I'll barely be looking up, and I hope to be able to let you know what happens, no spoilers, in this Team USA game against Australia. But it's not like it keeps my attention. And there's no channel surfing. Oh, commercial break. Well, hydration break in the soccer. Let me go check the golf because I'll probably be talking to Joe Yurden or somebody, and I'm going to be changing channels. So I've chosen the soccer. I love the golf. I love the U.S. Open. I love the majors. We've got this majors bet with Mike, Brian, and myself that we've been doing since 2013. And we're, halfway through the second round of the thing. So I'm into that, but the soccer wins the day. The soccer has dominated me here since it started. I've said this a few times. Like I'm not staying up till midnight watching games. Even if there's wagering involved, I'm still hitting the sack and finding out what happened in the morning. But it has become like my go-to option anytime I have a choice. Turn the TV on, soccer. If it's on. I mean, obviously this morning there was not soccer and I had golf on. The first game of the day is now USA in Australia. I think it's interesting. And most bars and restaurants that I've been to since this started, I know it's only been a week, or a little more than a week, right? Team USA played their first game last Friday. They're playing their second game now. So now that we've been sitting with this a ton, so I don't have a humongous sample size, but I know, like last Friday, I went out to a few places after the show, and every place I went had soccer on. And last night, I was in a place and 20 TVs, maybe? I don't know. Somewhere between a dozen and 20. There were just TVs everywhere. One of these places that's got, 6 TVs around the bar. It's a squarish or rectangular shaped bar. And then the dining area's got a bunch of TVs, and there's TVs on the patio and all this. And I noticed I was with a friend of mine. We were taping a podcast, Patrick Moran's Talking Buffalo podcast. I enjoyed it very much. This was at Imperial Pizza. And I noticed as we were having some wings before we were going to record the podcast, and I said to him, is it interesting at all that the soccer is not – there were games. It was Team USA, but still there was soccer on. And the place was busy, crowded, right? It wasn't packed or anything, but, there wasn't bar space available readily, right? It wasn't, I think you're walking like, oh, we'll all sit there, right? It's a good amount of people. All these TVs, no soccer. And no soccer, obviously no one asked for the soccer. And I thought that was interesting. I thought, is like South Buffalo some little pocket of the world that just still doesn't care about soccer? Because I know not everyone. I've still got friends that text me like, I don't get it. Like, what are you doing with the soccer? I'm like, I don't know. I love it. I love it. I love the uniforms. I love the fans. I love the marching through the city streets with the colors and all the stuff. I mean, I think it's just awesome. I'm enjoying the fans from, other countries reacting to American gas stations, even like on Twitter. I'm seeing some of that. I saw a long post from a woman who was in Boston talking about how incredibly hospitable Bostonians have been. I think this woman was Scottish, and said in this post that, she and many of her fellow travelers were a little nervous, or maybe a lot nervous about coming to the United States with the current political climate and all the just ice age, all of it. Just how the temperament of the country right now seems like not as welcoming as maybe it has been in the past, is maybe the best way I can put that. And this woman was just talking about how incredible the experience has been so far and how wonderful that she and the group of people she's traveling with the wonderful experience they've had encountering Bostonians as they're making their way around town in between games and whatever. And I love that. My wife last night asked me, how long does this thing go? Like how much? Because she is enjoying sort of mostly it's the countries, the joy, the fans, and just sort of the colors, I think. And like, where is this game being played? And what, how long's it go? I'm like mid-July. We got a while. It's gonna, it's not gonna be as many games as we go and teams get eliminated, but I think it's awesome. So really enjoying that. So we're trying to keep tabs on that. The golf, obviously. There's Sabres stuff to talk about with the draft being just a week away. So we're going to try to do plenty of that. And it's also Father's Day weekend. And I had the mind to tweet this out earlier rather than, try to plan on people calling, at an opportune time because we've got a lot of guests booked, which I'll get to in a moment. But I put the call out. I've always remembered, I didn't know the late Chuck Dickerson, coach, very well at all. I mean, we were coworkers here for only a few years, and never, not like Mike. Like Mike was teamed with him when he first came over to WGR. I never had a working relationship with him, and I had a cordial, professional, friendly relationship with him, but I didn't know the man real well. But I know something he used to do on this show, this time slot when it was his show, was a Father's Day show where he would just give you the floor, basically. Like, hey, call in and talk about your pops. What do you got? And any sports related, ideally, of course, but even if it's sort of off the beaten path as far as sports go, Chuck would give you on that day, the Friday before Father's Day, the leeway to sort of call in and dig deep and get emotional about your dad. And I always like that. Mike and I, when we got paired together, like the first couple of Father's Days that we worked together, Father's Days weekends, I should say, we did a couple of those type of shows, and maybe by like the second or third time we did it, it just wasn't getting the foothold that it had been, and we just sort of felt like we'd probably be best to just sort of leave that over there. So we have not mined that ground. We haven't farmed that field in a long time. But I put the call out on Twitter today with Father's Day being Sunday, and I got a lot of really nice responses that I do hope to share as we go in between the guests. There it is. There's the guest hook for you. That starts at 3:30. Our buddy Sam Panayotovich, Sammy P, will be with us at 3:30. 4 o'clock, Joe Yurden on the Sabres and the draft upcoming and free agency and the trade market and all of it. Joe with Bleacher Report, who's following the Sabres around during the playoff run, has been covering the team for many, many years for a number of outlets. So looking forward to touching base with Joe. At 5, Brian Koziel will join the show to, I'd like to say recap day 2 of the U.S. Open, but there still will be a lot of golf left by the time we talk to Brian. But we'll also talk to Brian about the Sabres and the draft coming up and the trade market and free agency and all of it, sort of the same deal that we're doing with Joe. And then at 5:30, more of that with Paul Hamilton. So we've got a lot of Sabres content on the way. And like I say, I'll try to mix in these Father's Day stories and anecdotes that you've been generous enough to share with me on social media as we go. Take a breath. USA has scored. Zach, do you have deets on who scored?
It is an own goal. So now the second game in a row, the US's first goal is an own goal.
Psych. Way to go, Australia. All right. So no U.S. player gets credit for that?
No U.S. player gets credit.
And there was something on the morning show. They had a parlay with first goal scorer. No, maybe it was just my kid had a parlay with first goal scorer. And we were talking about this, the Jer and Owen and myself and my friend John Gale were golfing on Saturdays. This must have happened maybe in the well, exactly. It was the U.S. game on Friday night last week. He had a first goal bet, and because the first goal was an own goal, he was still live.
Okay. I was wondering if that would count.
And I'm not sure if he ended up winning or not, but I know Jeremy was like, You can't. That's not right. You should. The first goal of the match was scored. It was scored. It's an own goal, but that doesn't mean you should still get credit for first goal.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where like, oh my guy got injured 10 minutes in and was taken off the field. We're gonna nullify it. No.
Yeah. So anyway, if you've got a first goal bet out there, maybe if my kid was right about last weekend's game and it hasn't been changed, maybe you're still live even though there is a goal on the board. So USA's up very early, not even 15 minutes in. I think the soccer way to say that would be it's in the 15th minute now. I don't know when the goal was scored a few minutes ago. Anyway, so they're up. Good. Where was I? I ran down all the guests. Oh, the Sabres. Sabres news. Here's something. Kevin Weeks, a little while ago, posted on Twitter that he's hearing that the Sabres are working toward a 7-year, $7-ish million a year contract with forward Zach Benson. So we had a little something, right? First day we had Michael Kesselring traded. The next day we've got Bowen Byram. The Sabres are taking calls. They may be interested in moving Bowen Byram. That was yesterday. Today they're talking about a contract extension with Zach Benson, and nothing about that is surprising. He's an RFA, and Jarmo Kekalainen made it pretty clear that he was interested in doing something long-term with Zach Benson. Curiously, he also sounded the same way about Bowen Byram, and maybe he was card playing, or maybe things changed once they sat down, and Bowen Byram wasn't maybe as cooperative about signing as they would have liked, so now maybe they're trying to move him. But anyway, the point is, Zach Benson, this report, right? Let's run with it. The Sabres are looking to sign. I think they will probably close this deal. I would guess sooner rather than later. 7 years, $7 million for Zach Benson. I think what stands out to me about the potential for this deal to come to fruition is that I doubt very strongly, sure, will someone take the side of this is not smart, it's too soon, he's not that good, be careful, buyer beware. Just to be contrarian, sure, that may happen. It's the world and it's social media, so someone will probably raise their hand and say, "Oh, I think this is a terrible idea." I'm sorry to put that voice on. It denigrates that point of view. You may, you're certainly entitled to it, and I shouldn't mock you preemptively. Or ever, really, but especially preemptively. I think this deal has the potential to be the most positively received approval rating is what I need here. The approval rating on a Zach Benson announced contract in the form of around 7 years and around $7 million, I think is met with almost entirely universal applause. I don't think that there's a significant part of the fan base that would want to raise their hand and go, he hasn't really produced that much yet. He's little. Are we sure? He still looks like he rides a dirt bike. What are we doing here? I don't think that part of the fan base exists. I think the Sabres fan base right now is too far gone in a torrid, we just met and have been talking all night love affair with Zach Benson. I'm not being pejorative here. I mean, I'm included in this group. I love Benson. I don't think there's any portion of the fan base that's going to tell you oh, Jeff Skinner, oh, even Tage Thompson. Maybe, I don't remember. Were people complaining about the amount of money Dahlin was going to get paid? Owen Power. What are we doing here? This guy's not that good. He's big, but he's not tough. He's soft, baby diaper, whatever, right? All the nonsense you hear that has turned out to be completely asinine, about Power especially. I don't think those people exist on Benson. Now, that doesn't mean that we're all right? I mean, we could be falling into a death trap of groupthink, but I feel pretty comfortable that locking Zach Benson up. I did not see this coming this soon in this guy's career. I've liked his game. There was always things to like about his game, but it was just sort of a work in progress kind of thing. And he really, really hit the beach in a meaningful way in the playoffs. The regular season was somewhat modest. He had his moments, but the playoffs, I think, is where the legend of Zach Benson sounds a little ridiculous. But the building of the Zach Benson that the fan base could really get behind, I think, was largely done in the playoffs. Just watching him be the quintessential rat that also was producing and was dangerous. So you've got, unlike Sarah, I mean, we've been going through this, right? Not everybody. I mean, I'm not sure I love the idea of trading Bowen Byram, but if it's the right return, I'm going to get there, right? But there's, I'm sure, a divide of opinion on that. And, the strongest reason for me to not want to trade Bowen Byram is that you're breaking up the superpower your team has. You've got these 4 dudes, and they are the driver, the key to your team, I think. So pulling one of them out without knowing who I'm replacing him with is, there's trepidation there for me. But the right player, the right return, like I'm going to listen, especially if Byram is sort of dug in on, hey man, I want, 10 million. I want power play 1 minutes. I want top pair minutes. I don't think any of that's happening here because Dahlin's here and just simply outranks him, and rightly so. He's a better all-around player. It's not even close. So he's not gonna, take Dahlin's stuff. So he's sort of blocked and capped, and I'm sure that plays into what the Sabres are willing to pay him. And if I'm him, I think I love it here. It's fun. We had a good playoff run. I like my teammates. I like the city. I like, all of those things are possible. But you can just look at this professionally and go, I'm blocked. And, I'm blocked earning-wise because I'm blocked ice time-wise and, the big minutes, valuable minutes, power play minutes, that kind of thing. So he wants to go somewhere where he can do that. And that totally makes sense. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it tracks. But anyway, there'd be a divide of opinion on him. Tuck, absolutely, there is a divide of opinion on, right? 8 years, do I want to really do that? Is he worth all that money? The playoff series against Montreal was so bad, and what am I really doing? And on the other side, you've got, hey, he's an assistant captain, and he's from the Syracuse area, and he was like the face of guys who want to be here. And, by the way, he was kind of grossly underpaid the whole time he was here. So, take care of him, keep the band together, and, what are you doing here? So you've got 2 camps, and they both have, I think, valid arguments. It's kind of what makes, the sports world and shows like this one go around so great. Benson, to me, it's not even, I don't think it's even that interesting because I like, hey, what do you think about the Zach Benson contract? Yeah, that's it. Like, I don't know who, I can't imagine. Well, I can. I've been doing this for 30 years. I can imagine the person that would want to push back on it, but I doubt that they're even being earnest or honest about it. I think it would just be to be contrarian, which, has its place. But I think it has the potential to be like one of the most universally applauded contracts the Sabres have ever handed out. I just think everybody loves this kid. And I mean, get out of my way. I'm in line too. All right. Don't push past me. I'm thrilled that they're maybe on the cusp of locking him up long term. I think I'm right about that. We'll see. I'm available, Twitter and phone calls. Although, again, lots of guests booked in here. Starting in just a few minutes here, Sammy P. will join me after a quick break. As we go, again, Joe Yurden at 4, Brian Koziel at 5 on the golf and on the Sabres, and then Paul on the Sabres as well at 5:30. Mike is away today, if you haven't noticed. I don't have his, haven't muted him. He's got the day off, so just me and Zach Jones hanging out with you today. feel free to get in here any way you can at Bulldog WGR on the Twitter machine if you want to do that. Okay? So that's the way forward. We'll hit a timeout here, and Sammy P will be with us right after this. I'm the Bulldog, and this is WGR.
For more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfalo, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
Give Belknap a ring.
I've had one thing written down to bring up all week, and I've never brought it up, and I'm off tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Have you thought about, and I'm guessing no, but now is as good a time as any, if you were a starting player on a World Cup team, what your intro move would be? So they run through the starting lineup for each guy, and some of them, you've seen it all. The heart thing, but that's got to be put down. We can't do this anymore as
a society.
This has got to go away. We have, point on the back of point at your name, point at the logo, flex. What do you think you would do? I think it's probably up to you as a starting player. What kind of vibes would you want to give off?
Are you old enough to remember Ultraman? Remember Ultraman?
No.
Ultraman was like a Ultraman. It was a real life sort of Godzilla spin-off. Like Ultraman was a robotic or dressed like a robot human, and he had his signature move. Like he'd be fighting Godzilla.
Okay.
And Ultraman had this cool silver suit, and he would put his arms like this, and like lasers would shoot out.
Like an X.
Yeah, I think I would do that. Ultraman would be my move. That's my move.
Who's this Godzilla?
It's a radioactively impacted lizard.
I'm too young for
Lives
that.
on an island near. See, World War II, the U.S. dropped.
Never heard of it.
Atomic weapons on the.
That's what happened that's the story of Godzilla?
Yeah, Godzilla's radioactive.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I did actually not know that.
Yeah, that's the backstory.
I would just do the double point.
Or the origin story. Oh, okay. Yep, right.
Not a big smile.
Staggered.
Certainly not a maybe. Certainly not a scowl. Nothing, off-putting, but I don't need to ham it up. Just give you the double point. That's it. That would be mine. I'm talking like it's never going to happen that I'll start in a World Cup game.
Yeah, right.
When it happens, this is what I'm going to do.
I think you're at the tail end of the possibility.
The window is barely open?
Cracked. Yeah.
I appreciate that amount of respect.
Somebody from the street threw a pebble at the window, and it made a tiny little hole in the corner of the window. That's what's open there.
I didn't know that about Godzilla. I like knowing that.
Yeah. So that's the origin story.
It has World War II, the bomb.
That's the whole. All the monsters are all that. That's
really
the whole thing. That spawned the whole genre. was
Even
radioactive. Oh, yeah.
Wow, cool stuff.
Especially Mothra.
Matt Collar with us earlier on the Vikings and more next.
This has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with place. Bowen Byram likes Buffalo. He likes his teammates. He likes the trajectory of the Sabres. This has everything to do with opportunity and a continual challenge, as I understand it, that exists within Bowen Byram. He sees himself as a number one defenseman in the NHL. And watching him in these playoffs, it's hard to argue that that's not the case.
That is Frank Saravelli talking about one of the Sabres' rumored trade pieces, Bowen Byram defenseman. I'm going to nitpick a little bit here. It's not about money, it's about opportunity. Well, the opportunity leads to money. Like, you have the opportunity to quarterback the power play, the number one power play top pair minutes. You're going to avail yourself to a better contract. So it is, about money. And the Sabres don't want to pay him like a number one defenseman because they have a number one defenseman and they have another guy on the team that, frankly, in my opinion, also outranks him in Owen Power. So it's about money. In the end, it is about money. Joining us now on the West Her Hotline is Sam Panayotovich, Sammy P., our buddy, newly relocated to Chicago. Hi, Sam. What's going on today?
I've got soccer fever, buddy. Do you?
Soccer fever. Yes, it is dominating me. I'm not even thinking to look for baseball when I go home at night. I'm right to Fox or Fox Sports 1, whoever's carrying the game. My streamer of choice has the 4K channel, so that even enhances it a little bit. And it's almost all I'm watching. In fact, I'm watching Team USA right now instead of the U.S. Open. That really wasn't that hard. The U.S. Open comes every year. This only comes every 4. So, yeah, I think I've got soccer fever.
I have a hot take. If the other team keeps scoring first against themselves, USA is going to win a lot of these matches because this is what happened in the first game against Paraguay. Look, it's the pressure. It's the American pressure that they're, getting toward the net that causes the own goal, obviously. And Pepe was right there. Great play early by Balogun to make it 1-0 USA about the 10-minute mark.
Look at you dropping these names. Look at you, like a seasoned soccer goon.
Believe it or not, I don't even have notes in front of me. I'm just a little autistic.
I love it.
So the first goal in this one is by the other team. Australians knock it in 1-0. Look, the Americans are favored to win the group, and I'm not a big soccer guy, but I'm a phone call away or a text away, and a couple guys in Vegas are telling me that they look like a European team. I had no idea what that meant. I'm like, what?
I think that means they look good. I think, Sam. I think that's all that means, I think.
I think that's the thesis.
Yeah.
But if you're watching, they're putting pressure on these guys, and it's not stopping. Now, that's the schematical change and the coaching change and all that. But I did laugh the other day, Bulldog. I'm on the set because we carry all the games on Fox. And I forget which day it was. This thing's been going for 10 days now. And I'm on the set, and the news anchor goes, "An exciting day of World Cup, huh, Sam?" And I tossed to a scoreboard where all 4 games were tied.
That was Monday. I took the day off Monday. I was supposed to play golf, and my golf got rained out. And I got home at 11:45. I'm like, all right, this is it, noon. And I'm just there. I loved it. I never thought to go looking for anything else to watch. But, 4 draws. One of them scoreless, I think, even.
Yeah,
right.
Exciting day, huh, Sam? I'm like, 1-1, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1, thrilling. Which takes me back to Well, I did a radio bit during the last World Cup, or a TV bit rather, where I took the American song I believe that we will win," and I changed the lyrics. I changed "win" to "tie," and I would just say, because the USA is playing Iran. I don't even know if they play soccer in Iran. I mean, they do, obviously, but you should beat Iran, and it's 0-0 at the 80-minute mark. It's just very funny during group play. You get so many ties. Right. That stuff obviously goes away when you get into the knockout stage.
Yeah. What did last Friday's dominant win in the opener over Paraguay do to Team USA's odds? Did you happen to notice how much they changed from pre-tournament to current day?
So understand that you're going to have a lot of American money in an American market. That right. Goes without being said. I think the true price should have probably been about 80-1 coming in. Most books were down to 50 or 60. And I'm looking at, I just have DraftKings up right now. DraftKings has 35-1 on the Americans, but they are still way down the board. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams in front of the Americans. But look, I mean, this is where you want to be. You want to be in that conversation and be a top 10 team in the world. And they haven't been for maybe ever. So certainly the star is bright. And I think, they're obviously favored to win this group. I'm not really terrified of anybody that they'd have to face here. So, yeah, they're going to probably win this group. And then the competition definitely stiffens. If you want to grab it, if they win this match, which it looks like they will, you want to throw a little, peanut M&M money on 35-1, by all means, go for it. I don't think they're going to win it, but if you want something to root for, by all means.
I know when we talked, even weeks before this was going to start, you were talking about a round of 32 or knockout, even, knockout stage, bet that, the odds are still pretty good and you got a better chance of actually cashing that. But, now that it's underway, I think it would be hard not to go for the win. If you're perusing the odds. But that's just me. You know me. I love to lose bets, Sam. That's what I do. Sam Panayotovich on the West Her Hotline with us here on WGR. How about the golf? Wyndham Clark, 4 up now. He's done. The other, he's 4 up on, I think it's Schauffele and Fitzpatrick at 3 under. It's the U.S. Open, so it can swing in a hurry. He only had, to my eyes, 1 hole where he got in real trouble, and I think he even still got out of there with just a bogey. But he was sand trap to sand trap, and the second sand shot was really challenging, but he still managed to limit the damage. I don't know. Is there still someone who's around even or -2 that you think could win this thing?
Well, I don't really care about where they're at right now. We still got some serious golf left to go today, and obviously Saturday's a huge day. McIlroy's just right there, though, man. He is. He's right in the mix, and there's a guy you can find live right now if you want to log into your app and bet him about 6-1. I do always I laugh at this Scotty Scheffler tax, man. It's just it's so crazy. He's 9 shots back, and he's 13-1 to win. You're what should that price really be? If you're 9 shots off a lead, you should not be 13-1. You should be 130-1. But that people bet Scotty. They are programmed to bet Scotty. I wouldn't bet Scotty. I think Rory. this is not a hot take. He's the second or third favorite right now. Right. But you got a guy who knows his way around this course, and he's only 6 shots off the lead right now, and he's about to come up to the 5th tee. So you got a whole day Friday for the most part. Right. I think he's going to play some good golf, and that would be my bet. I'm laughing though, Bulldog, because this morning I saw a TikTok of Bryson DeChambeau dancing on the floor, and I'm like, what? Oh, he's 5 over par now.
Right.
They don't even have a price on him to win. You can't even bet him live. That's how far back he is right now.
Yeah, that sort of fell apart by the end of yesterday because we were in here on the air and Mike was sort of giving it to me a little bit because we have this thing with the majors. I don't know if we've told you about this, where Brian Koziel, our Sabres host and our golf guy, and Mike and myself in the majors, we take turns picking 10 golfers and the other 2 guys get the field, right? And I didn't even consider DeChambeau, because he missed the cut in the Masters and in the PGA, and it's I think he's kind of a basket case, and he was off to a really good start. I think he was 2 under at one point, and Mike was just sort of, not harshly, but he's jabbing me a little. I'm like, no, I think he's probably going to blow up, and he blew up. So I feel good about that. I have a nickel or two on Koepka, even though I knew the hand injury and everything, and that was going well yesterday, but also didn't end well. And he last time I looked, he was 3 over. So I might be dead in the water there. Like he's like hovering around the cut line, I think, is where Koepka is. Hey, I'm looking now. Oh God, he's 4 over. So he's even beyond the cut line now. Oh well. Anyway,
how dare you not follow the golf by golf? Like you're hosting a radio show and you can't follow the leaderboard. How dare you?
Well, I'm doing the best I can. I've got the soccer. I'm trying to talk to you. I know.
I'm obviously kidding. Are we like? I don't know if you're a Luda guy or not. Oberg, are you an Oberg guy?
I have him in my pick 10 with Mike and Brian. Yeah, I would say yes. I mean, I expect him to win a major and maybe even a few of them at some point, but he hasn't broken through yet. So it was one of the reasons I wanted to be on him for this, pick 10 thing, because I thought this could be the one.
That could be a guy. I know I mentioned Rory earlier, and again, he's like right near the top of the betting board if you're going to bet this thing. If you want to jump in right now.
Better value on Oberg, and he's got the same score right now as Rory, I think, right?
Exactly. But that's, again, this is the tax you pay because the traders, if you're a trader at a sports book, why am I going to give you Rory at 20-1 when I know everybody's going to bet it? Like I'm going to make you pay a premium. So you're going to get here, you're going to have 6-1. Same with Scotty. Scotty should probably be 100-1 right now. But because of the name value and guys bet it, he's 13. Oberg is, let's see, he's 6 off the lead. He's 18-1. Do I have any idea if he's going to play well? No.
No, of course, right.
I mean, that's a guy that I could see him putting together a solid back nine and having a solid Saturday. We're all gambling. I mean, golf is insane. Golf is the hardest sport to bet. I'm glad that we do this show on Friday. Well, I do your show on Fridays because on Wednesday I would be sitting there just like pulling things out of my like I have no idea who's going to win this golf tournament, and that's why I like to bet. I like to do head-to-heads and matchups, and I like to do top 10s and top 20s and all that. I have no clue. You could print that. I have no clue who's winning the U.S. Open.
You got me all fired up on Masters Saturday. It was you had done like rounds, whatever you did. I could not find on my app, but what I did find was a slew of bets. Maybe I don't think they had all of the field represented in these combo bets. They were like, Saturday specials or something. And it was any two of the following to play a bogey-free round. And there were all kinds of combinations. And it was all like I had Rory, Lowry, Rose, and Scheffler. I think were the 4. Any two, and the odds, Sam, I won like $2,000 on a $20 bet doing that on Master Saturday. Guess what's not available on FanDuel anymore? Any of those. They just did not even. Maybe I killed them. I don't know. They're gone. At least they were when I looked before the tournament started. I haven't been back to look. So that was, and I credit you because whatever you had texted me that morning, I wanted to do. So, I'm ready to buy that car, right? I'm on the lot. I'm walking out of here with a car, and I couldn't find the bets you had made, and I made that instead, and I had a great time watching it. It was awesome.
Sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good in this racket. Right. And I was laughing when you said the term Saturday specials. That's what the sports book calls it. The tab should be called junkies. Like all those bets is like finding a needle on the ground. I think the Americans just scored again, 2-0. We'll see if it. They got to review every goal now, but that when a sports book here's a little inside baseball. When you log into your sports book, whether it be DraftKings or FanDuel or MGM or whatever, and the first thing I see is major masterclass, and it's 5 guys to do this. It's probably going to lose. they want you to bet that, and then they give you the tagline: 5,000 people have made this bet. Well, there's a reason for that because it's probably not going to win.
I think this got taken down for offsides. Is that what I just saw? I saw a flag. Yeah, okay. The goal got taken down for offsides. So it's still 1-0 U.S. up on Australia. Before we go, Sam, one last thing, and I didn't ask you about this ahead of time, I don't think. Oh, yeah, I think I did. The Sabres Cup odds. Mike was talking about this on Monday while I was off, and I had noticed it over the weekend too. They are so far down the board. I mean, of course, Carolina, Colorado, Tampa, Edmonton. I get all that. Florida even, off and down near Vegas. The Sabres are 30-1. Ottawa is half of that, or just about. They're 16-1. I get like Montreal and Buffalo are sort of fresh and new, and let's see if they have staying power. I don't understand Ottawa 16-1. Like I just don't. I don't get it. How the Sabres end up double what Ottawa is, or almost double.
I just don't bet Canadian teams. I'm not stupid, like I know better. So I'm with you. It's been a long time. I'm not betting Ottawa. I mean, Ottawa could be 50-1. I don't think I'd bet them. And I'm a value guy, like a good price.
Right.
Let me just tell you this about Buffalo, because they're on that like 25, 30-1 line. And I guess we do have a goal now. See, I'm so confused, man. This is why I can't get into soccer like a hardcore guy, because like it counted, but then it didn't count, and now this one counts.
Do you have any idea why the officials wear shoulder pads?
I don't know.
Are you watching it right now? I mean, it sounds like you're ahead of me by a bit, but like the officials are wearing shoulder pads. I never knew that but I think they're wearing shoulder pads, small ones. Not like linebacker shoulder pads, but like they're wearing shoulder. Anyway, the goal counts. Sam, we got to go. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All the baseball stuff that I text you about, we'll do next week. Okay. Does that sound
What
good?
I meant to say was Buffalo they're a playoff contender, but that number means they're not good enough to win the cup from the sports books perspective, and they got to obviously prove them wrong.
Sorry, I interrupted you because the U.S. scored, and then I had to make the crack about the shoulder pads. All right. I hope you felt like this was a good use of your time.
My favorite part of my Friday, buddy. I'll see you.
All right, Sam. Talk to you next week. Sam Panayotovich, Fox sports anchor in Chicago, and our go-to gambling dude there on the Western Hotline. All right, 2-0 Team USA. This is a goal actually by a Team USA player. I don't have a name because I'm live on the radio.
Alex Freeman. Former Green Bay Packers wide receiver, Antonio Freeman's son.
All right, sweet. Good pull. Thank you, Zach. So Team USA up 2-0. 2-0. I'm trying so hard to fit in on Australia, and we're nearing halftime. So awesome start here again for Team USA. We'll hit a timeout, and Joe Yurden is coming your way in about 15 minutes on the Sabres and the draft and free agency and the trade market and all of that. So do stay tuned. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR. Grooving along here on a Friday afternoon. Note to self, don't talk about how it stopped raining very quickly live on the radio and then ignore the fact that it's pouring 10 minutes later. People, have a right to be upset. Sorry. I screwed up. I'm Bulldog. Mike's off today. We only got about a minute here before Joe Yurden joins us. I'll squeeze in one of these Father's Day notes that I've gotten on Twitter. I asked earlier, it's Father's Day weekend, Sunday's Father's Day, and this show, when Chuck used to do it, when Coach used to do it, would spend almost all of Friday letting the audience talk about their dads. So I asked on Twitter, so I've got a lot of guests booked for you to share stories, and many, many, many of you, and I'm grateful for this, have been generous enough to share. I'll get through this one from, it's an account named Garnet Barnsdale. I have no way of knowing if this is this person's real name anyway. No offense if it is. Garnet Barnsdale. The one piece of advice I always remember from my dad when I was young, he showed me that he carried his wallet in one pocket and his money in the other. Why? So if you lose the wallet or get pickpocketed, you still have your cash at least. I have done this all my life. I love that. That's awesome. You go to a concert, go to wherever, but concerts or sporting event, keys, wallet. Like I don't think constantly, but when I go on vacation and say don't have my car keys on me because I don't have a car, even they're in a bag in my hotel room, I'll be like walking somewhere in Barcelona, like keys, and there's this moment of like, where are my keys? I'm in Spain. I don't have my keys. Joe Yurden right after this on WGR.
More rumblings in the NHL. Kevin Weeks of ESPN reporting earlier this afternoon the Sabres are working on a 7-year extension for forward Zach Benson. Benson is an RFA this offseason, and while nothing official yet, we'll keep you up to date if anything else comes down the line today. Do stay tuned. We'll get more on this. Paul Hamilton joining the show in about an hour and a half at 5:30. Now to some official hockey news. Defenseman Darren Radish is not going to hit the open market. It is a sign and trade for him this morning. Toronto gets Radish. They signed him to an 8-year, $8.5 million per year deal. And then the Lightning, in exchange, get a 5th-round pick in this year's draft. Over to the World Cup. So good start for the United States. They're up on Australia 2-0 at the half. With a win today, the United States will secure a spot in the knockout stage, and they can also clinch the group tonight with a win plus a Turkey draw or loss against Paraguay. That game, though, much later on in the afternoon at 11 o'clock. The two other games in between that, Scotland versus Morocco at 6, and then 8:30 Brazil taking on Haiti. Round 2 of the U.S. Open underway. Wyndham Clark does still sit alone at the top at 7 under for the tournament. He is done for the day. Stay tuned, though, at 5. Brian Koziel will join the show for the latest on round 2. Then in baseball, Bisons play host to Charlotte at 6:35. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. While in the majors, Jays, they are down 7-1 to the Cubs in the 6th. And then the Yankees later on tonight will play host to Cincinnati. That one just after 7 o'clock. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I have a leg injury and a foot injury right
A
now.
leg and a foot. Are they on the same
Side of my body.
side of your body?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Left.
What happened to you?
I got stung by a bee, and then I think I got stung by another bee.
Oh, come on.
I think I did.
When did this happen?
Last night.
Last night.
Last night. Who knew?
It's Mike Schopp.
Just never thought about getting stung by a bee at night.
I don't know.
But there would still be bees at night.
I guess.
Not to sound like the flat earth thing. It would,
Well-
the bees just don't disappear when it gets dark.
Okay, but I've never seen one at night.
Well, it's dark.
And the Bulldog.
Maybe they would not be out at night, but you disturbed it, so it came out and said, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah, they weren't expecting me.
I'm in here trying to watch the Vietnam War on PBS, and you're what are you doing sitting down in the chair? This is my time.
You are not supposed to.
Right.
This is our time.
Right.
That's what the bee said.
Right. So
On behalf of the other bees.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
good to have you with us here on a Friday afternoon. I am the Bulldog. Mike Schopp has the day off. Busy calendar right now. We've got the U.S. Open golf going on. We've got the World Cup going on. That's at halftime. Team USA up on Australia at this moment, 2-0. So that seems to be going well. And, of course, we're a week out from – I hate when people do that. Of course, and then I'm going to tell you the thing. Like, I don't need the of course because, if you know, then you don't need me to tell you. So, of course – anyway. The NHL draft is a week out, and it's a busy time in hockey. Trades are happening. The Leafs made a big trade today with Tampa, a sign and trade for Darren Radish, and there's lots of balls in the air, it seems, pertaining to the Sabres. To go over all of that and more is our buddy from the Bleacher Report, Joe Yurden, on the Western Hotline. Joe, what's shaking on this Friday with you?
Oh, Bulldog, we're having ourselves a fun Friday here with the U.S. game. I had to try to squirrel away a quiet spot outside the Banshee, which
I did not.
Let me tell you, is really hard to do.
I did not realize when I asked Zach to reach out to you that I was gonna be, but at least it's halftime. Like you might miss a few minutes. The timing almost worked out perfectly for you.
Almost perfect, but I also didn't realize that the U.S. game was at 3 o'clock. I figured, they'll cater to TV and put it at night.
Right.
No, that's not how this works in the World Cup.
Yeah, even cater to TV, cater to Australian TV, because I think if this game were being played at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, it would be like early afternoon in Australia, or even late morning. That would work. Instead, they're playing now, which seems kind of dumb. But anyway, well, thank you for carving out time in the midst of that, because I know you are a big soccer honk. and this is going pretty well so far. So on the Sabres, let's start at the top here with the news of the day, which is some reporting from ESPN's Kevin Weeks indicating that Zach Benson might be on the cusp of a 7-year, $7 million commitment. Joe, I said last hour on the show that I think this has the potential to have the highest approval rating in Sabres contract history. Like, I think oh no, but what about blank crowd is just, we all love Zach Benson.
Yeah, it's to me, what I was thinking about, like, what could Benson sign for? What could that contract be? I said, if you aim to sign him to the same kind of deal Josh Doan got, I say that's probably the target. That's probably what you want to do. And this is kind of right in line with that. I mean, it's a little bit more money. It's it's an extra year. It's whatever. But to me, this is exactly the kind of deal that you're looking for him, because you can be a pessimist if you want to and see, like, well, 43 points, blah blah blah. This guy hasn't scored yet, blah blah. Like, you can do all that negative Nelly stuff that you want to, and you can have a good time with that if that's what your kick is. But, like, this would be this is an ideal contract for him, because I think the offense, I mean, we saw it in the playoffs. The offense is coming.
Yep.
And we see what he brings outside of, generating chances, being a pest, doing all that stuff. We've seen what else he can do, all the kind of tangible, intangible, driving other teams crazy stuff. That has a lot of value. And, it was the comparison I started thinking of with Benson during the playoffs, and I was like, I got to pump the brakes on it because it's way too high of an expectation. But you saw some of the Marchand stuff coming through last season, playing shorthanded, being very effective shorthanded, being able to generate offense shorthanded, and then also being dynamite 5-on-5, driving play, creating opportunities for whatever line he was on. All of that stuff smacked of what Marchand was when he started breaking through in Boston. And, you don't want to set that expectation for a guy, because Marchand's an incredible player. Everybody hates him, but, like, the guy is awesome. Yeah. Sorry to say to everybody who hates him, the guy's incredible. But Benson, if that's the plane that he's on, boy, oh boy. I mean, you do 7 for 7 every day and you don't even think about it. And if you're Zach, honestly, you say, yeah, no, I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, the playoffs, but there's a lot to unpack here. The playoffs really mattered to this. I think Mike and I would have talked about him as an RFA going, before the playoffs happened. And I probably said, bridge deal. I'm not sure where the offense is going to be. And maybe because of that, his side would agree to a bridge deal. Because, we don't know really what if I become a 35 to 40 goal scorer or something for you. And I'm probably going to be taking way less than that right now, because, like you said, the points haven't really been there yet. But the playoffs, I think, showed you how effective his style can be. And the value in having, the Sabres have had players on their team that the opposing fan bases hated, but mostly we're talking about tough guys, right? Like Rob Ray, Barnaby, even, with the tooth, and Rob with the no jersey and all the stuff. There's guys, but I don't know, I cannot think of a time when they had a guy that was an important offensive player. No offense to Barnaby. He had some decent scoring years, but somebody that's a top line type player that can play on your power play, that also antagonizes and makes everyone on the other team want to spear him in the nuts. Like, I don't know when the Sabres ever have that guy, and they've got one.
Yeah, and I mean, there were times in recent history where they added a guy where they thought they were going to get something like that. I think of like a guy like Steve Ott. Steve Ott was kind of like that kind of player, and you're thinking big picture with somebody like that, where it's like, oh man, a playoff guy, he'll be a pain in the butt, he'll be awesome, this will be great, and obviously none of that stuff worked out. Bad era of the franchise, but like that sort of guy was kind of like what he was. And in Benson's case, like the playoffs were just an awakening for him and for everybody else with this franchise to say, like, oh, this is what he's going to be. Like, because you can watch all the junior highlights, you can see him score a ton, you can see him trying to be a pain, in junior hockey, where it's like, okay, everybody's scrapping and fighting in junior hockey, like, big deal. But from day one, he was driving everybody crazy in the NHL. I mean, we saw all like the kind of crappy penalties. He was getting reputation penalties, 20 games into his career. And we were just kind of like, what the heck, what is going on? Why is this guy, getting flagged for everything here? This is really stupid. And now it's like he's earned that. And now he doesn't get called for that stuff anymore. And he does it even more. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a weird kind of like hockey hazing for officials to be like, hey, buddy, you're not going to do that here until you prove yourself. And then, okay, we'll let you get away with it. But I mean, for a guy like him, though, I mean, 7 for 7. I mean, yeah, your eyes can kind of go like, whoa, that's a lot of money here. Like he's in Tage territory with that kind of money, but also, I don't know, it's a different financial.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Landscape now.
Yeah,
so
if Tage Thompson is signing a contract this summer, he's getting $12 million a year.
Easily.
Right. I mean,
easily.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a different world now. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, it's, this is a different setup than I think of, and I keep circling back to this because we've been talking about him a lot the last year. But when Alex Tuch got his extension in Vegas, they threw him the extension that he's just coming off of now at him when he was really young and he hadn't really proven himself yet. And, they saw what was coming, but they're like, hey, let's get him locked in quick.
Right.
And we'll get this taken care of. And Alex was like, yeah, let's do it. And then 2 years into it, he was like, oh no, what have I done? I'm a 30 goal a year guy now. I'm a guy who should be making 7, 8, 9 million a year. And instead of making, I'm just making under 5, which, I don't know, at 22, 23 years old, somebody throws me a $36 million contract. I'm saying yes. So I get it. But in this case with Benson, I mean, you're talking about, if you bridge him, you're taking a big chance. Because if you go 2 years with him for, say you go 2 for 12, which is still juicy, you're talking about, well, what am I paying him after 2 years? Am I paying him the same, or am I paying him 10? And you don't want to be paying him 10.
Right. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be proactive. I mean, of course, the downside is that, the player doesn't continue developing and never gets the scoring touch we think is coming, and, you're on the hook. But I think it makes a ton of sense. Joe Yurden from Bleacher Report on the West Her Hotline with us here on WGR. You mentioned Tuch. Is there any validity to Tuch? You mentioned the previous contract. He's been a bargain here the entire time he's been a Sabre, and I guess we never really cared that much until this year when they got good, and then we were faced with the specter of him leaving for nothing because, he's maybe priced himself out. Like, should the Sabres make that up to him by giving him what he wants? Like, is there any room for that kind of sentimentality in this to you?
I don't know. There's the heart. There's what the heart wants and what the head wants, and what the heart wants says yes. Like what he's done for what he's gone through, what he's put up with for the franchise, what he's done to help bring this team together and get them into the postseason, and what he's been as a player here. He's a guy that's worth that money. Unfortunately, you're looking at a situation where the Sabres have just under $14 million in cap space. And if you want to bring him back, you're talking about 10 to 11 million of that going to him. And then if you're signing Benson for 7 for 7, well, there goes all that money. And it's hard. It's really hard. And, part of me wondered if there was some, because I think, Alex is going to go to July 1st. He's going to see what's out there, unless somebody, makes a deal to acquire his rights and then sign him on the spot. But, where if he goes to July 1st, sees what's out there, sees what teams are offering, and then if the market isn't to his liking, he says, you know what, forget it. Let's go back to Buffalo. Let's just, we'll take what the offer is. It's not to say comfortable, but like, this is what we know. And if I want to end my career as a Sabre, I can do that. But I don't know, the family considerations, his wife's from Vancouver, been away from their family. She's been away from her family since they've been together. So like, that's hard. Tuch's family knows all about hockey life. They've been in hockey since he was, a kid. Right. So like, they're used to that. But But like, there's a lot of stuff to consider. There's so much stuff to consider in his shoes, and being 30 years old, there's a lot for teams to consider as well, because, even though he's been so good, you wonder, okay, 30 is like that kind of artificial cliff line where you don't know what a player's going to be after that. Tuck could be great until he's 39. He could be great until he's 32. And if you're signing him up and you're going 7-8 years with him, you better hope he's great till he's 39, because you're paying him a ton of money to do it. But it's really hard from Buffalo's perspective. And I just keep going back to how Alex really seemed to bite his tongue when in talking about the negotiating with Kevin Adams last summer, where he just, things didn't work. And, they weren't able to get something out. You could just tell Alex was so frustrated looking back on that. And, it's when you can feel that come through in a guy who's trying to bite his tongue on it, that's really tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you there, and I bet you probably felt that being in the room present when he was talking, because sometimes it makes a difference to be in the room. Well, from Tuck, if we sort of live with the premise that he's leaving, which is where I think we should be living, who knows, maybe something happens at the 11th hour, and like you said, it's not to his liking, and he comes back here, and maybe they make a peace here, but if he leaves, that brings us to yesterday's story, which was Bowen Byram perhaps being on the trade market. I think absolutely that is a piece that you're trying to replace Alex Tuck with, I think. I mean, I suppose you could be shopping Bowen Byram in the effort to go trade for Connor Hellebuck, and that has nothing to do with replacing Alex Tuck. But my guess is you're trying to put a package together to get a player that you think can replace Alex Tuck. How about just the idea of moving Byram for that? Because, Joe, I probably use this phrasing with you. I've used it many, many times. I thought those 4D on this team were their superpower. Kekalainen sounded the same when the season ended. They drive so much of what they do. So breaking that up is going to be hard to swallow, but I think they may have to if they want to suitably replace Tuck with a veteran. What are your thoughts on Byram?
Yeah, they're in a tough spot, and it was kind of funny when Bo said, I thought by signing my deal last summer, I wouldn't have to be talking about this. And I'm like, buddy, you signed a 2-year deal that walks you to free agency. I don't know who told you this was going to be easier, but like you were going to be talking about this next summer. I was like, you got a vacation for 12 months, pal. Like that's what you got. But it's another tough spot where I think, maybe you wait it out and get to the cap jump next year. And you say like, okay, well, if we're not trading Byram, how much can we get him for? And there is a big problem with that, though. Darren Ferris is his agent. We're very familiar with Darren Ferris by this point here in Buffalo. And, he's had some pretty high profile clients here in the past. And they want to go to free agency. Like that's just what it is, unless you completely blow the doors off. And even then, I think Darren would be smart enough to say, well, if they're going to give us this now, what do we got coming to us in the off season? Like, oh, hang on a second. But I think Yarmo's in a spot where you got to be proactive in that case, because if you've got a top 4 defenseman like Byram, and you know he's going to go to July 1st, no matter what offer you make him, no matter what's coming, no matter what you do, if you think he's going to, and that opens the door for him to just walk for, you don't get anything back for him.
Like Tuck,
you got to look around.
Right.
Oh yeah. You have to look around, and now's the time to do it, because this is your window to get things in line and to get things straightened out so that you can figure that out. Yeah. I think if Byram's your window into getting somebody to replace Tuck, then I think you try to figure that out. If it's Matthew Nyes, if it's Jared McCann, if it's somebody like that where you can go out and find somebody that's Tuck-like, and they cost, the same or a fraction of what Alex cost, great, awesome. Like, I think you figure that out and you get that done. And then you figure out the defense on the other side of it and try to go from there. Because I know the temptation to run it back with the same group and just say, okay, boys, just go get them again is very high, because they're so good. But you got to think about, as much as it stinks, you got to think about the distant future, not just next season, but you got to think 2 years down the road, because you're thinking, okay, well, if we just say, screw it, we're just going to do this with Byram. We'll run it back next year and see how we go. Great. What do you do in 2 years when he's gone?
For nothing.
Who are you getting?
Right.
Who are you adding? Like, how are you figuring that out from there? And it's the same with Tuck. Like, if Tuck walks for nothing, all right, how are you replacing him? You could try to jam all the kids into the lineup and say, all right, well, Yuri Kulik can take over. Well, can he? I don't know. Is he going to be able to play? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can Zach Benson's offense step up for that? Can Consta Helenis' offense jump into that role? You're talking about a team that was already really young and saying, like, well, what if we get younger and
right, which
try to go even further in the playoffs?
Yeah, that's not usually how it works. Anything can work, but that's usually your cup contender. You're not trying to get younger. You're trying to get more veterans, usually, especially to replace veterans like Tuck. The thing about Byram, I felt kind of like an idiot when I saw the reporting that the Sabres are taking calls on him or might be interested in moving him, because I know how Yarmo sounded at the end of the year. Like, he sounded as eager to re-sign Byram to a big extension as he did Benson. But I feel like we were all just so crushed by the loss, I think, still, and just not really seeing the whole playing field. If you were going to pay Byram somewhere between what Power and Dahlin are getting paid, let's say that's got to be his ballpark, you would then have 3 defensemen under contract in the top 25 in annual average value in the league. And there's not a team in the league that exists that's doing that. So, like, asset management-wise, I think there was certainly room to wonder, is that a good idea, signing him? Then there's the Byram piece, right? I mean, a lot of what people are piecing together now is that he's blocked here. He can't be number one. He's not even on the top pair. He's certainly not on the number one power play, and that's not changing. So, of course he wants to go somewhere where he can do all that and get paid $12 million a year to do it. I mean, I totally get it. Right. So from his standpoint, it really makes sense. And I think I just sort of missed all that when the season ended and they talked about wanting to extend him.
And there's a little bit of like self-negotiation that Byram's got to do, because one of the things that he said at the end of the season was, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose anymore. I'm done losing. Get me on a winning team. I'm on a winning team now, so this is good. And it's like, yeah, that's correct. You're on a winning team. Things are good, but it's also like, well, all right, that's fine, but you're not supplanting Dahlin as the number one power play guy. Not happening. It took him 3/4 of the season to supplant Power as the number 2 power play guy, which, I know, coaching choice, like, fine, like, whatever. But, like, if you're going to come in at like $10 million a year and you're going to do that, it's like, well, you got to be able to, if you're spending $10 million a year on a guy, he's got to be like a number one-esque power play guy.
Right.
Like, and Dahlin's that guy. And, if you're Byram, if you don't want to lose anymore, great. Like, you can go to another team, but, like, do they have the money to pay you? You can go to a team that might be on the brink of being a big-time winner, which is possible, that's got money to spend, but, you got to kind of wait a year or force a trade to that team and then kind of go from there. But it's an awkward spot for him. It's definitely an awkward spot for Buffalo, because they want to, I'm sure in an ideal world, they want to keep everything the same on the back end, because they're so good and it works just easily. But it's so difficult. It's so difficult to try to get this done when they're not tight to the cap, but they are. And, and you're thinking down the road and you want to get all this stuff squared away. And it's just, you got to decide, like, which things are we going to pay for? Which things are we not going to pay for? And, unfortunately, some of those decisions have to be made right now, because what you do now is going to affect what happens next year and the years after.
Joe, we got less than a minute here. Is there a big goalie trade out there for you? Do you like the Hellebuck idea?
I like it. I like it in theory. I don't know if I like what it would take to make that happen. Because I think what it would take to make it happen are a lot of guys that I think are going to be big time players in the NHL, whether it's here or it's not. Hellebuck's an unbelievable player and an incredible competitor. I think it would be awesome. It would be awesome to have in whatever team, certainly here in Buffalo. But giving up, Mertka, maybe Helenis, I don't care about giving up picks at this point. Like, whatever, just take the pick. It's fine. Like giving up guys that might be here in a year or two that you might need to replace guys that might be leaving in a year or two. That's really tough. That's really difficult, and I don't know if Buffalo should be thinking like that now. Although, if they think like we can win it next year, if we can win the Cup next year, I think you do whatever you can to make it happen. Honestly.
Joe, I appreciate you skipping the first, 15 minutes or so of the second half. You've not missed any goals in case you can't see a TV in your quiet spot outside the Banshee. But go enjoy the rest of the soccer. Thanks for the time, and maybe we'll visit again later in the summer.
I appreciate it, Bulldog. Thanks so much for having me.
That's our dude, Joe Yerdon from Bleacher Report on the Sabres. Team USA continues to lead Australia 2-0. We're into the 60th minute, so into the second half is where we're at there. We'll hit up a timeout here. We've got Brian Koziel on the U.S. Open and the Sabres coming up at 5. Paul Hamilton at 5:30 on the Sabres. Open here between now and the top of the hour. So if you got a comment on anything here, that means the soccer, the golf, don't call about the rain, Father's Day, anything goes here in the next half an hour. 803-0550 is the number. Would love to fit some calls in here while we can. Mike is off today. I'm the Bulldog. This is WGR.
I've had one thing written down to bring up all week, and I've never brought it up, and I'm off tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Have you thought about, and I'm guessing no, but now is as good a time as any, if you were a starting player on a World Cup team, what your intro move would be? So they run through the starting lineup for each guy, and some of them, you've seen it all. The heart thing, but that's got to be put down. We can't do this anymore as
a society.
This has got to go away. We have, point on the back of point at your name, point at the logo, flex. What do you think you would do? I think it's probably up to you as a starting player. What kind of vibes would you want to give off?
Are you old enough to remember Ultraman? Remember Ultraman?
No.
Ultraman was like a Ultraman. It was a real life sort of Godzilla spin-off. Like Ultraman was a robotic or dressed like a robot human, and he had his signature move. Like he'd be fighting Godzilla.
Okay.
And Ultraman had this cool silver suit, and he would put his arms like this, and like lasers would shoot out.
Like an X.
Yeah, I think I would do that. Ultraman would be my move. That's my move.
Who's this Godzilla?
It's a radioactively impacted lizard.
I'm too young for
Lives
that.
on an island near. See, World War II, the U.S. dropped.
Never heard of it.
Atomic weapons on the.
That's what happened that's the story of Godzilla?
Yeah, Godzilla's radioactive.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I did actually not know that.
Yeah, that's the backstory.
I would just do the double point.
Or the origin story. Oh, okay. Yep, right.
Not a big smile.
Staggered.
Certainly not a maybe. Certainly not a scowl. Nothing, off-putting, but I don't need to ham it up. Just give you the double point. That's it. That would be mine. I'm talking like it's never going to happen that I'll start in a World Cup game.
Yeah, right.
When it happens, this is what I'm going to do.
I think you're at the tail end of the possibility.
The window is barely open?
Cracked. Yeah.
I appreciate that amount of respect.
Somebody from the street threw a pebble at the window, and it made a tiny little hole in the corner of the window. That's what's open there.
I didn't know that about Godzilla. I like knowing that.
Yeah, so that's the origin story.
It has World War II, the bomb.
That's the whole. All the monsters are all that. That's
really
the whole thing. That spawned the whole genre. Was
even
radioactive.
Mothra?
Oh yeah.
Wow, cool stuff.
Especially Mothra.
Matt Collar with us earlier on the Vikings and more next.
of ESPN reporting earlier today, the Sabres are working on a 7-year extension for forward Zach Benson. Benson is an RFA this offseason, and while nothing official yet, we will keep you up to date if anything else comes down the line, and do stay tuned. Paul Hamilton's going to join the show at 5:30 for the latest on that. We do have some official hockey news from earlier this morning. Defenseman Darren Radish not going to hit the open market. It's a sign-and trade for him. Toronto gets Radish. They signed him to an 8-year, $8.5 million per year deal, while the Lightning, they get a 5th-round pick in this year's draft in exchange. To the World Cup, we are now into the second half. We're about 65 minutes in. The United States still up 2-0 on Australia, and if the U.S. can hold on and win today, it'll secure them a spot in the knockout stage, and if, again, they can get that win today, plus a Turkey draw or loss against Paraguay, they will win the group. That game, though, until much later on tonight, it's at 11 o'clock. There are 2 other games in between, Scotland versus Morocco at 6, and then at 8:30, Brazil taking on Haiti. Over in the NFL, big extension for the Titans. Defensive tackle Jeff Simmons, 3 years, $105.8 million deal. $100 million of that is guaranteed. And unsurprisingly, this now makes Simmons the highest paid defensive tackle in league history. And then over to Shinnecock, round 2 of the U.S. Open underway. Wyndham Clark, who is done for the day, does sit alone at the top, 7 under for the tournament. Do stay tuned in about a half hour at 5. Brian Koziel will join the show for the latest from the U.S. Open. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Balogun, it's a step on Chircotti. Balogun to the byline. Balogun into the middle. Dead! It's the United States once again on the board early. Ricardo Pepi was in. Was it perhaps last off the defender? Who cares? It's 1-0 U.S.
Yeah, Ricardo Pepi might care. Someone who had Ricardo Pepi to score the first goal probably cared.
Will definitely care.
Yeah. But, mostly, no, yeah. Woo, yeah, we were. USA's first goal from about an hour and a half ago was right after kickoff, which was at 3. USA still up 2-0 on Australia. We're into the 68th minute there, so probably about a half an hour or so of play left, depending on what they do with the extra time. At the end, glad to have you with us here on WGR this Friday. Blue skies and sunshine again in Amherst. I don't know. I just got a picture sent to me by my kid who was playing in a scramble golf tournament at Chestnut Hill. Chestnut Hill is the name of it. So that's out. I don't know where. I don't even know where. Darien, like out that way, right east. A drowning rat sitting in his car is what he got hammered pretty good out there. Sports City Pizza place was having a scramble today. We were invited. I decided to work, so I couldn't make it. But Owen and a friend of ours were out there playing in that, and it looks like it probably got rained out. Anyway, so that's that. So USA going well. I should at least take a peep at the leaderboard here, although Zach just did run through all that for you at the bottom of the hour update. No change at the top, of course. Clark is in the clubhouse at 7 under, and the nearest competition, well, there's 2 players that are also in the clubhouse at 3 under, Shoffley and Matt Fitzpatrick. Someone named Harry Higgs is 3 under, also still on the course through 12 holes. Currently, Sam Stevens is also 3 under, also through 12. Rory is to 3 under through 8. And Max Greiserman, also 3 under through 6 today. That's as far as I'm going to go on that front. So that's what's happening with the golf. Zach mentioned the sign and trade today between Tampa, and Toronto. Darren Radish, the only time the Sabres lost to Tampa this year was Radish scored. Is that right? I know he definitely scored to beat them. There was an overtime power play goal, I think, with the booming shot. What he's got is the booming shot, and he goes from Tampa to Toronto in a sign and trade and signs an 8-year, $8.5 million contract. This player, Radish, had an incredible year. had been not really much of a player of note at all prior. He did have, I think he had a couple of 30-point seasons, which is, decent. You can play, you're playing in the league, right? But he was not a meter mover. And really before that was mostly on track, I think, to be a journeyman defenseman. Fine, carve out a career, make some dough, and live the life. But broke through huge, 70-point season in Tampa, over 20 goals, the big power play shot. I wondered if a team was going to way overpay him, and I'm going to say that 8 for 8.5 is not way overpaying him. I thought someone might get him up to the land where like Dahlin and like the top guys in the league are living and have been living, north of 10, 11, 12, that area. There's a good enough player, even if he sort of, because the concern you'd have with this player in free agency or signing him and trading for him like the Leafs have just done is that it's 1 year and there's going to be a dip. I think even if you dip to 50 points with this player, he's a decent enough puck mover. He's no kind of penalty killer. I don't think he played penalty kill at all. But he's a power play witch. The shot is elite. And the first pass and all the other offensive stuff is good enough that, to me, I totally get it from Toronto's standpoint. They have to do something with that blue line. And frankly, with the power play, too. So I wouldn't even be that worried about him tumbling from 70 points to, say, 50. Because I still think at $8.5 million, with the cap going the way it's been going and going up again next year expectedly, that's going to be fine. I do not think Toronto traded for a 70-point defenseman. He was a 70-point defenseman this year. I think everything went right. So I don't think he's that guy. Could be wrong. I mean, who knows? Maybe he just showed up. Now he's 30 and he's this player now. But that was an elite team with an elite power play. And so I think he was in the right place at the right time kind of thing. But even if it bumps down 20 points, I still think it's a decent deal for Toronto. I wonder what else they're going to do, Toronto. That is absolutely my focus, thinking about Matthew Nyes and Bowen Byram. Like I hear Byram's name in the trade rumor mill. We've heard Nyes' name. I'm not sure I understand it. It's funny, I did read something today that said the Leafs are thought to be looking for a number one type defenseman, okay, Byram, a first-round pick, and another roster player. And, like, I really like Matthew Nyes. I think Matthew Nyes is like a ready-made, plug-and-play replacement for Alex Tuch. Like, it's perfect. Perfect. He's a penalty killer. He's big. He scores. And he's 23. We're going on 24. And he's under contract until 2031 or something. For like 8.5. Central Casting called. We got a replacement for Alex Tuch for you. Oh, that guy. Great. I don't know about Byram and a one and another roster player. I don't know. Maybe I could get there. Do I get who else could I get off of Toronto? I don't think I want Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I definitely don't want Morgan Riley. Like, is there someone? What else do I need? I'm going to need a Byram replacement. Toronto doesn't have one. That's the closest they have is Riley, and that's a joke. So that's not happening. Who else? I haven't looked at their. Isn't Brandon Carlo is there? Right, he was a part of that trade. They gave him a 1 in the year where they were at the bottom of the standings. Beautiful Toronto. Anyway, Brandon Carlo, that's a third pair guy. I think I could live with that. So I get to Byram, a 1, and what? Krebs. Could I get them to take Greenway?
Oh, I mean that seems greedy.
Mean,
maybe.
Yeah. I like Greenway. I just don't know that on a team that is where this team is now cap-wise that I need $4.5 million playing the role he's playing.
Probably
like,
not.
I liked him more than most people, I think. But the salary is just I'm gonna have a hard time with it. So you got to find your way to more value on your bottom six if you're going to be paying, guys up top the money you're going to be paying guys. So I think you probably have to live with that. Probably not him. Maybe Krebs and RFA. He could be in it. I hate to give him up, but I don't know what I'm going to pay him. I don't know where he fits, Krebs, because he's, does he walk into a negotiation? He's arbitration eligible, by the way. I played the majority of my ice time this year, or this much of my ice time. I don't know if it was the majority. I was a top line left wing on a team that had 109 points. I mean, where's my bag? I should be getting paid, but really, he's a bottom six guy, I think. I want to say on a good team, but he was just on a good team, holding down minutes on a top line.
And that's what he's doing.
So that's a hard one, but maybe the rights to him could get me there. I don't know. Am I doing too much of the what I don't want? Just let me put it all together and see if it gets me home. I might be guilty of doing that.
I wonder with Toronto, though, the core. It's going to get older. When McKenna gets into his prime, it's a bunch of guys in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
They might want somebody like an Ostlund.
Of the young guys, God, it's so hard to pick and choose amongst him,
right.
Helenius, and even Kulich. And Kulich is such a wild card. Kulich could still be the best of the three of them.
I want to say this was recent. Lindy was talking about him we envisioned him as our number 1C, and you're oh, okay, well maybe take him off the board then. If that's the plan.
Yeah. So to me, one of those guys probably has to go. Not because of the cap or not, but if you're trying to find your way to Matthew Nyes, Jordan Kyrou, Connor Hellebuck, right? Whatever. It's a goalie, defenseman, forwards. You're looking for, you're trading for a proven $8 or $9 million hockey player. One of those highly anticipated kids is going to go. You're not in the NHL, you're just not going to improve your team you're going to have to divest yourself of one of them. And I don't know. It's so hard to pick. Ostlund, I think, looks like he's maybe the least flashy of the three, but that doesn't mean he won't be the best of the three.
And look what he plays 3 games in the playoffs, but he gets the Doan-Benson duo going. He plays 3 games. He doesn't do much, but in those moments, you're he's Helenius before Helenius.
Yep.
Showing up going, all right, the young guy pulled the lever. Helenius, it's the last month and a half because you can go AHL. He shows up in the Montreal series is a demon, and then the World Championship's oh, okay. I guess it keeps going.
I wonder. I've seen other people. I'm sorry, I don't have a name for you. Where I've read this, it might even just be fans talking. But Ostlund, he did get dinged up. He got dinged up in the playoffs. He got hurt in the regular season. He is a very slight build, and I wonder if. Not to say that Helenius is a big, mean guy. But of the three, I feel like Ostlund is the most, I don't know, frail sounds so bad, but it's the word that came to mind. The other one was Bambi-like. No, all bad. Can we dump this? I wonder if Ostlund is the guy that they would most live with parting with because of his size, is all I'm really trying. I could have just been polite and said that. Instead, I had to be a jerk and mention Bambi. Good God. Anyway, very, very, lots of moving parts and really interesting. But man, Nyes. I would have a hard time if I'm on the phone with Toronto and we're close and they go, yeah, but we're going to need this. I would have such a hard time not going, okay. Because I love Matthew Nyes. Just coming out of college, even getting to Toronto. He plays for Toronto. I think he's a perfect 21st century power forward. And what is Alex Tuck? He's pretty much that. So, man, if I could swing that, I could live with a lot, I think is what I'm telling you. I think I just talked myself into Byram and Osland for Nyes if I had to do it. I think I would do it. Oh, that's a lot. Maybe I got to walk that back a little. Anyway, we'll take a time out here. What do I got coming up? Brian Koziel at the top of the hour on the U.S. Open Golf as well as on the Sabres. Brian with all these years hosting our pre- and post-game Sabres coverage. So we'll hit on some of that too. I am the Bulldog. Mike is away today. This is WGR. Hey man, Bulldog here for Window Nation. Well, a bit of a drive-by here at the top of the hour. Glad to have you with us here on the 19th of June, an important sports anniversary in our history. Game 6 against Dallas. The Stars, finger quotes, win the cup in Buffalo on the controversial no goal. It's also an important date in my life because I love the Sabres so much, and they lost the cup. No, I got married. It's my wedding anniversary. My wife and I are going out to a nice dinner. I thoughtfully arranged for us to have dinner tonight at the restaurant we ate at on like our first. We dated for a while, and I was sort of still very flammable from a previous situation, so we sort of split up for a while. And when we got back together, the first date we went on was at Hutch's. On a Saturday night, late August, early September. It was the year where the Bills season began the following day, I think August 31st. It was the night Princess Diana died. I know this because I walked out of the house that morning to go to the stadium for the game, and the Bills were hosting the Vikings, and the front page of the paper was Lady Di. So that was our first date. It's not the anniversary of that. But 27 years. So, I don't know, silver, 25 is silver, 50 is gold. I don't know, 27, it says here linoleum. That can't be right. We'll take a timeout. Brian Kozel right after this on WGR.
In the NHL, Kevin Weeks earlier today of ESPN reporting that the Sabres are working on a 7-year extension for forward Zach Benson. Benson is an RFA this offseason, and while nothing is official yet, we will keep you up to date if anything else comes down the line today. Do stay tuned. Paul Hamilton's going to join the show just about a half hour at 5:30. Over in the World Cup, we've still got a few more minutes here, but the U.S. is up 2-0 on Australia. If they can hold on to this, they will secure a spot in the knockout stage. And then, again, with the win, they can also win the group with a draw from Turkey or a loss tonight versus Paraguay. That game much later on tonight at 11 o'clock. And then the other two games in between are Scotland versus Morocco at 6. Then at 8:30, Brazil, they take on Haiti. Big extension for the Titans. Defensive tackle Jeff Simmons gets a 3-year, $105.8 million deal. $100 million of that is guaranteed. Unsurprisingly now, Simmons is the highest paid defensive tackle in league history. Over to Shinnecock, round 2 of the U.S. Open underway. Wyndham Clark, he's done for the day, and he does still sit alone at the top at 7 under for the tournament. Do stay tuned. Coming up next, Brian Koziel is going to join the show for the latest on the U.S. Open. And in baseball, the Bisons, they play host to Charlotte at 6:35. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. While in the majors, the Blue Jays, they are down 16-2 to the Cubs in the 8th inning. There is still time for a comeback. And the Yankees, they're going to host Cincinnati just after 7. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Happy, the ball itself has its own energy, or life force, if you will. Its natural environment is in the home. So why don't you send them home?
It's Mike Schopp.
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
And the Bulldog.
That Happy Gilmore, he's a real crack-up, isn't he? I mean, he's a hoot. You know, what was great today, one of his fans mooned me, and it had Happy written on his ass. Ha on the one cheek, and then, sure enough, PPY right there in the other.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Happy learned how to putt. Uh-oh.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
Glad to have you hanging here with us on a Friday afternoon. I am the Bulldog. Mike has the day off today. Zach Jones and G handling the production. G on the video end, Zach on the usual radio end. Joining us now on the Wester Hotline to, I can't quite recap something that is not over, but look at what round 2 of the U.S. Open has brought, and also, time permitting, squeeze in a little hockey conversation at the end. Our Brian Koziel on the Wester Hotline. Good afternoon, Brian. How are you today?
I'm well. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Father's Day weekend to you.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. So it's funny. I was just looking at the leaderboard. I've been watching the soccer, which is almost done. Still 2-0 U.S. And I was remarking to Zach, I'm like, well, you know, Wyndham Clark's 4 clear, but the next few guys on the leaderboard, like I've got them all. I got Shoffley, I've got Fitzpatrick, I've got Rory. I got 3 guys within 4 strokes. I feel pretty good going into the weekend. And I just kept looking through, and I've never kept the stats on this bet that you and Mike and myself have for all the golf majors. So I don't know what looks good going into a Saturday, but I feel like 4 guys of my 10 missing the cut is pretty bad. And that's where I'm at. Spawn is going to miss. He's like one of the last guys on the board. Minwoo Lee is going to miss. Siwoo Kim is going to miss. And Koepka, I guess, could make up a couple of strokes. The cut is projected to be at 2, and he's 4 over. And I don't know how much he's got left to play. But, man, it's a bit of a bloodbath for Team Bulldog here, Brian.
Yeah, but your big names, your firepower are there. So I think that's got to give you some comfort. And as you said, I mean, you literally could have 3 of the top 4 in some sense as of this moment. I know you don't have Clark, but you've got some monster names, and you know, Fitzpatrick and McIlroy have both won U.S. Opens before. Shoffley's won 2 majors. I mean, you've got guys that are tested there. So I mean, if there's any slip up with Clark, the chances of one of your guys jumping in is pretty good. So I like it. It feels maybe like it's I'm not saying it's exactly 50-50, but it's there. It's not a runaway. Neither side is dead.
Did I hear right? Do you have something on Clark, independent of our bet?
Oh, I last week on Tee to Green, as we normally do, the last segment before the major, we kind of do our little pick segment that we, as you guys joke about when you do your NFL ones, that really nobody cares, but we do it anyway.
Picks nobody cares about, right?
That's right. And I guess I'll give you. Sylvester picked Koepka, and Metis picked Schauffele, who's doing very well. And I picked Clark. So I just was like, hey, this guy's making me look good for whatever that means. But I do have a little side help on action is on that as well. So we're hoping
good for you
that comes through. That could be something.
That could be really nice for you and really, really, really bad for me. Yeah, I'm judging him very harshly for what happened at Oakmont last year. I think. I can't get there. And it's not any commentary on his golf. Obviously, he's having a great couple of rounds here, right? 2 rounds in the 60s at the U.S. Open. This is pretty good stuff. But didn't he smash the locker up at Oakmont last year and, wreck a tee box or something? He was kind of a jerk at the U.S. Open last year, wasn't he?
He was. And he openly admitted that he misbehaved. And he actually, I don't know if it was, I think it was yesterday's round, afterwards that he spoke with the media and said that, look, he goes, I have some work to do to win back some supporters and some fans. He said, I know I lost some last year. He said it was an incident that he regrets, that he understands, hey, I have to figure out a better way to deal with frustration. It's inexcusable to do what he did, especially you shouldn't do that in any locker room, let alone a historic place like that.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating that if it's just a normal gym locker, you should do that. No, you shouldn't do that anywhere. You shouldn't deface property.
Don't do that at Elma Meadows, people, okay? Just don't.
Right. Don't do it anywhere. Right. However, he has not shied away from it. He has answered every question about this week when he was asked about it, and has kind of taken, I would say, a mature approach to the sense that he said, look, I regret it. I know people are going to think about that for a while, and he's like, I understand. Even there might be fans that, yell it to me when I'm out playing. And he's like, I'll deal with it as it happens. And he said that he's hoping that through his good play and through other things that he can win back some fans this week. So I will, say maybe he doesn't come off from that incident as a guy that you want to root for going into the weekend, but I'll at least give him credit for owning up to it and, trying to do the right things and said, look, I made a mistake. I want to make up for it. So I'll give him credit for that. Nobody's perfect. And, I think, maybe from there, this is maybe giving him a little sense of relief as he's out there playing right now.
All right, I like it. What stands out through? I mean, again, a day and a half or a day and 3/4, I guess, is about where we're at here. I felt like yesterday, Brian, the conditions in the morning versus the afternoon were maybe the story of the day. The wind was really howling early, and I know it was still somewhat windy later, but I feel like not as much, and the scores maybe back that up. Today looks like it's been mostly the same all day. Is that sound accurate to you that yesterday, the morning tee times yesterday maybe had the toughest time of anyone?
Yes, I would agree with that. The crew that played yesterday late, up until that they had to call it due to lack of daylight, that was the crew that you wanted to be on, the side that you wanted to be on, because then you came out earlier this morning. Today it seemed as though you're right. It's been a little bit more consistent in terms of what the wind has been, but the Clark, Schauffele, that kind of group that played late yesterday into this morning, they obviously took advantage. Fitzpatrick is in that group too. They took advantage of those conditions. Now Rory's had to play the other way, and I think he just dropped one, so he's down to -2. But he's taken, he's played pretty well in these. I mean, I know we talked about it on Wednesday when we were previewing it, that I'm sure if anybody has watched it all, they've showed enough overhead shots. You can see how close it is, not only to Shinnecock Bay, but to the ocean. It's just a few minutes from that you can see why maybe the wind would be so effective on this course in terms of causing havoc. And there's essentially, from the end of the first hole to the last hole, there's essentially almost no trees blocking any of it at all. So it's a wide open course. That's kind of how they like it there. That's how it was set up. The one thing that's maybe different about it being kind of like a links course like we see overseas is the greens. These are elevated and have a lot of undulations. Usually the ones that we see like for British Open courses, they're a little bit more flatter and, not as severe, which is why this course rates so difficult, because not only does it play with weather involved and wind, but you also have some of the toughest greens in the entire United States to have to hit onto and deal with that wind. And these runoff areas that I personally think, for the most part, we're starting to see more courses around the country, including even courses locally here in the Western New York area, more like tightly mown runoff areas around the green. I think it's kind of fun to play in that because it allows you a whole bunch of different shots and be creative. Versus it just being like, hey, the edge of the green and then bang, it's 3-inch rough right away. I like how there's some closely mown areas in runoff. It allows for some different kind of styles of thinking, and we get to see the best in the world obviously be creative around the green.
Brian Koziel, our host, one of the hosts of Tee to Green, Saturday mornings. He'll have a special 2-hour show we'll tell you more about before we wrap up here tomorrow because of the U.S. Open. Also, you've heard Brian for years on Sabres pre and post. I won't pretend to have seen every shot of Clark's round, but the only time I saw him in any trouble today, I don't remember the hole, but he was in the sand, and the announcer said, oh, he tried to do too much with that, and now he's in the sand again, and the lie was all wonky, like was way below his feet, and they were saying, like, he might not really – he just might not be able to do anything with this, but he was able to get out of there, out of that bunker, and still get in. I think he got near enough for a bogey, but the way they were talking after that second shot landed in the sand, below his feet was like, this could be a double or worse. And, of course, not knowing about your action on him and me not having him in the pick 10, I was like, good. But he managed to keep the wheels on there and only dropped one stroke, which he later got back.
Yeah, he's had a very consistent 2 days overall. I mean, to just have 2 bogeys today in probably compared to yesterday, even tougher conditions. He only had 1 bogey yesterday. So, 3 bogeys over 2 rounds, 36 holes in these conditions, the U.S. Open, like that's pretty impressive to do. And he's obviously scoring on the holes that are scoreable. Only 2 par 5s, one on the front, one on the back, but number 5 is the first one that they'll see. They're probably really, really thinking, hey, I've got to have a legitimate chance at an eagle putt here. A lot of guys are making birdies there. Clark yesterday, when he was playing, stuffed that shot to about, 2 or 3 feet. It was literally almost a tap-in eagle late last night when he had that shot. That was a really, really impressive shot for him. He's driving the ball super long, and he's putting well. His last hole today, he made a really, really long putt to get it from 6 under to 7 under so he can get another round in under 70. So, yeah, he's looking really good. We know he won a U.S. Open 3 years ago at L.A. Country Club, so we know that he can get it done and handle the pressure. I think the big names behind him are going to make for a really intriguing weekend to see if there's any sort of slip up, or you've got obviously a ton of experience right behind him to catch him. So it's setting up to really, I think, be a good, entertaining final 2 days upcoming here for us.
Oh yeah, tap-in eagle. Boy, we could dream. I missed a 5-foot eagle putt last year, and I'm still mad. Obviously, I'm bringing it up here years later. But tap-in, holy cow, the stuff of dreams. So how about the rest? How about Scheffler here? Like I talked to Sam Panayotovich a couple of hours ago, our regular Friday guest, Brian, and he mentioned how it's just there's still a tax on Scheffler. At the time, I don't think the leaderboard has really changed that dramatically. He's still pretty much where he was when we talked, and his odds were still, you're just there's always juice there. You're always going to pay like the Scheffler tax. Do you think he's live here, or is he too far back? Is he 8 back? I think.
Yeah, I think when you say 8 back, it sounds very tough. But he literally with 1 birdie here could move into a tie for 14th. Even is tied for 14th, then he's +1 right now, and there's still only 13 golfers under par. If you, and this is what it's probably people are going to even maybe overreact to just if they didn't watch a ton and say, man, the U.S. Open's supposed to be hard. How come the leader's at -7? Well, if you take Clark just off the board, then you've got leaders at 3, and that's usually around where it is or where the USGA would like it to be. And then you'd only have just 12 players under par. So, Clark's playing lights out, but I think other than that, I feel like it's kind of where it needs to be. And if you said the leader was at 3 and Scheffler right now is at +1 with plenty of holes to go.
Very doable, yeah.
Yeah, you'd say it's very doable. I think Clark is the big factor in if Scheffler has a chance. I think if Clark has a blow-up day coming or a bad stretch up coming at some point over these next 2 days, then I think Scheffler's in play. I think even if Scheffler plays what we would consider to be like very good over these next 2 days here, which again, I think that means under par. I don't think you can ask for much better, but even if he goes like 2 under and 2 under, I mean, that gets him to what, 3 or 4 under for the week. I mean, he's going to need Clark to come back, I think. And I think that's why this is a tall task, although it's very intriguing to maybe go and throw a little wager down on him at this moment because of the fact that we know, he can at any point just turn it on, and he's been so dominant, but just been just a little off this year. He's even admitted to it. He's like, I'm just not as sharp as I had been the last few years. And that's why I think we're getting what we're seeing with Scheffler is we'll get 5 or 6 holes of, holy cow, this looks like the Scotty of last year. And he, here's his chance to get back in it or maybe grab up to the lead. And then all of a sudden he falters just because he is a little bit less sharp. So I feel like this is what we saw from him in the first 2 majors. He teases us. He comes up. Oh, he got into the top 10. He'll have a great round, maybe where he is flawless, and he gets himself up to 4th or 3rd, and then it'll be kind of another up and down thing. So I think that's kind of what I'm expecting here. I think the conditions are still challenging enough that unless he's just right on, which I don't think he is, I think he's probably just going to be kind of a tease here, being around the top 10-ish to 12 over the next few days here as it wraps up.
Yeah, I had side action on Koepka in addition to the pick 10 thing, and that seems like it's going to die. So I just hit up Oberg. It's a nice price. He's 1 under, so if I'm going to grab someone from that group, that's the odds. Lead me to that. But you know how we are, Brian. We love to lose bets because the odds are saying, I want to do that. Okay, sure. So I'm in on him. We'll see how that goes. The weather is supposed to be pretty much like it's been, I think, right, tomorrow and Sunday?
Yeah, same. Temps, no issues. They're going to be in the 70s, and just probably what I would consider to be just normal winds for Shinnecock Hills out there, with, they said, possibly a little gusty in the afternoons, but nothing that they had to deal with yesterday in the morning. So I think probably the players have adjusted enough to it at this point that unless something drastic changes with the weather, they should probably be overall fine with it, or at least prepared for it going into the final 2 days.
Before we put the lid on the golf conversation, I want to squeeze in a couple of Sabres things with you before we let you go. Tomorrow, where are you at, and what's up with Tee to Green?
Tomorrow we're at East Aurora Country Club.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah, such a great place. The annual International Junior Masters is held there every year. Mm-hmm. It's the longest running junior invitational in North America, which is pretty sweet that they're continuing to do that. And the staff there just do an amazing job with it every year. Last year, I think they had 13 different countries represented. They had kids there from Australia and South America and all over the world. And of course, obviously, even some players from Western New York as well. So it's a really, really cool event. So we'll talk to the tournament directors about that and a couple of players as well. We always love talking to some of the participants, kind of where they've come from around the world, and kind of hear what last year we interviewed a player from Australia, and I was asking him what's golf like in Australia for you, and high school life, and how'd you get here? How many plane flights? I love hearing all those stories. So,
yeah. And have you been to Barbill yet? Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly where everybody sends them when you're there. So we're going to do that. And then obviously with having 2 hours, we're going to have a lot of U.S. Open in the middle of it as well. Kevin Sylvester is not working the U.S. Open this week, so he'll be in person with us. So that always makes for some fun banter. Jeff Meadus will be there as well. And 7 to 9 tomorrow.
All right. Excellent. East Aurora Country Club. All right. The Sabres, where to start? How about the Benson reporting from Kevin Weeks today? 7 years, around $7 million. I said earlier, Brian, this might be have the highest approval rating of any contract the Sabres have ever signed a player to. I don't think there's anybody in the fan base that isn't just swooning over Zach Benson.
I know, it's pretty amazing that they're the unification of giving someone a long-term extension. For as much debate as there's been back and forth with Alex Tucker as there's been with other players, this one seems to be unanimous. And the age obviously for Benson versus Tuck, it makes the discussion totally different. But with Benson, to me, there's just so many different ways that he can contribute positively to this organization. that it feels about as safe and as much of a slam dunk as you could think about. Because even if you say, well, maybe his goal production kind of goes up and down, or what, like, well, he brings so many other things to the table. Like, not like he's not going to bring the energy or the nastiness or even just the annoyingness to the other team. Like, he does all that on every single shift all the time, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. So, I mean, it feels like you're locking that up for another 7 to 8 years with that automatically, no matter what. I just love the fact that he can play with anybody on this team. Like, we obviously saw him play first line minutes and fourth line minutes and everything in between. And he seems like no matter who he's with, it seems like he just figures out a way to be valuable to those line mates. I just think that that's a valuable part of his game, and that he can obviously provide that offense, which maybe, I still forget how young he is because he's now played 2 full years, and it seems like, he's a playoff veteran now. But like, he's really, his offense, like, I feel like there's still a lot to go in terms of maybe what he could do. I mean, him, and not to get off him, but him and Doan together seemingly kind of like to be the next pair. I know Darlene and Thompson to me feel like the leading pair, and then maybe like, okay, the secondary pair that maybe will eventually take over the reins as maybe the captains of the team. Like, I could see Doan and Benson like fitting that, kind of wearing the Prince crowns, like awaiting to be the leaders someday.
Yeah. We had Danny Gare on sometime around, they were already great. I don't know if it was playoffs yet or not. But I remember Danny had an incredible wrist shot. And I remember talking to Danny, and I'm like, Benson should just shoot 1,000 pucks a day all summer. Like, I just feel like there's more there, I think. And boy, if he can like just incrementally improve the around the edges on his game offensively, skill wise, I feel like there's a lot to love there. So pretty cool. What's not pretty cool is maybe feeling like they might have to trade Bo Byram. And I get it from Byram's perspective. He's kind of landlocked, like he's never going to be the number one pair. I mean, I guess he could be. He was the year before last, but he's not going to be the top guy. Darlene's got that carved out, so that means no power play one. And so, the guy wants to be paid like a number one. The Sabres aren't going to pay him like a number one because he's like a number 3 on this team with Darlene and Power already here. So I guess I get it, but Brian, I said to anyone with ears all year, this team's superpower was those 4 guys on the blue line that just drove so much of what they were doing. So I know they'll have to find a way to replace him if they trade him, and who that is will be maybe the most important thing of the offseason to me.
Yeah, it's almost like somewhat depressing in the sense that, wow, you figured out a way to totally flip the strength of the Sabres team. I mean, they were just so poor defensively for so many years here. And, even when they were kind of cool and exciting and they only missed the playoffs by a point, we still knew they had a lot of defensive deficiencies. But they were fun, and they were trying to outscore teams. And, was it even Granato that said you can outscore your mistakes, I think, or something along those lines? But now, as you mentioned, like the top 4, the amount of minutes that they logged and the way that they all kind of contributed in their own fashion, and Byram offensively, even in that Boston series, just, really, really vaulted his game up to play like the Sabres' best defenseman. For a while there when Darlene was struggling, look at what he did and Samuelson did. Like, just to have those 4 power emerge so well as the season went on and into the postseason, like, if you could just have that for a long time, it would be great. Obviously, 3 of the 4 of them are locked up for quite a while. If there's a way to make Byram work, I would love it. Understandably so. Maybe selfishly, he feels like he wants to be a number 1 defenseman somewhere else. So I get why that might have to come into play here, even if maybe money is something that the Sabres can figure out a way to work. But, I mean, you've got obviously maybe this Benson contract on the horizon. What are you going to do with Alex Tuck? And obviously, if you're going to trade Byram or you're going to move on from Tuck, like, there still has to be replacements.
Right.
And I guess it's a good problem is that for a long time we haven't talked about maybe salary cap room because the Sabres haven't had enough good players that you actually have to spend all this money to the point of thinking like, oh, we're going to lose these guys. So I guess it's the negative that goes with being good, and that these guys all of a sudden raising their game. There's so many nice things about Byram that I would hate to see him go. I feel like the Sabres, there's another trade. You talk about what we mentioned with Doan and how they won. I think they won that trade with Peterka. Like, the trade now with Colorado with Middlestat. Like, you won that trade.
Right.
Like, and you still can win in the sense that you can trade Byram to have something that was better ultimately that left with Middlestat anyway. But man, it would be a shame if he ends up having to go, because those top four, it was such a weapon to have. And it also, I think, allowed, if you felt like you had injuries or weakness on your back pair, or even if what Lindy was doing was rotating through, well, you still could have your sixth guy only play 5 or 6 minutes, and you could get away with it because these top four guys just did so much for them.
Great job, Brian. Appreciate the time very much. Enjoy the rest of the golf. Have a great show tomorrow at East Aurora Country Club, Tee to Green, 7 to 9 here on WGR, along with Kevin Sylvester and local PGA pro Jeff Meadis. Thanks again, Brian. We'll talk soon, man.
All right, Bulldog. Have a good weekend. Happy Father's Day again.
All right, man. Same to you. That is Brian Koziel on the Western Hotline. Just told you where to find Tee to Green tomorrow morning. If you get a tee time, put on WGR, put it on the app, whatever. That's what I do. I don't have a long drive. Usually on Saturdays, I'm just driving to Delaware Park, which I'm doing tomorrow. I could walk, but I'm a little lazy. Plus, we walk the course, so we walk 18 holes. I don't feel like walking a half a mile home. So anyway, I usually hear a little of Tee to Green on Saturday mornings, maybe like a lot of you. Highly recommend. All right, we'll hit up a timeout. Rory's 1 under now and just kind of a little scrambly and all over the place. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Hit up a timeout here. Paul Hamilton coming right after the break here on WGR.
More rumblings in the NHL from earlier today. Kevin Weeks of ESPN reporting the Sabres are working on a 7-year extension for forward Zach Benson. Benson is an RFA this offseason, and while nothing is official yet, we'll keep you up to date if anything else does come down the line. And do stay tuned. Coming up next, Paul Hamilton will join the show. Over in the World Cup, the United States does officially take down Australia 2-0. So with that, they are now on to the knockout round. They can, though, win the group tonight with a Turkey draw or loss to Paraguay. The game is tonight at 11. There are 2 other games, though, in between these ones. It's Scotland and Morocco in about a half hour at 6. Then at 8:30 Brazil, they take on Haiti. In the NFL, big extension for the Titans. Defensive tackle Jeff Simmons, 3 years, $105.8 million. $100 million of that is guaranteed, and so no surprise, Simmons now the highest paid defensive tackle in league history. To Shinnecock and round 2 of the U.S. Open, Wyndham Clark, who is done for the day, does still sit alone at the top at 7 under for the tournament. And in baseball, Bisons play host to Charlotte at 6:35. That game can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. While in the majors, the comeback does not happen. The Jays to fall to the Cubs 16-2. And coming up a little later on tonight, Yankees, they're going to play host to the Reds just after 7. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Paul, in a moment. Golf, man. We started talking to Brian Koziel at 5:02, and Schauffele, Fitzpatrick, Rory, they're all guys I have in my pick 10 bet with he and Mike. They're the next group back of the leader, 4 shots back. So I got 3 guys that have a look at it. 25 minutes later, 3 bogeys in a row, and he's even. Woof. Paul Hamilton, you have never been much of a golfer, have you? You played in the station tournament a couple times?
I've won awards twice in the station tournament.
For the worst group of all time? Yeah.
I think it's a cool trophy, actually. I think it's almost the nicest looking trophy of all of them. So it's like, well, at least if I'm going to get the trophy for the worst golfer, Howard Simon and I used to vie for that, at least I got a cool trophy out of it.
Yeah. You never got the bug, though, for the game?
Nah, never really. That's what I found out during COVID when I wasn't working, that I have no hobbies. I need to be working because I love what I do.
Yeah.
I really, really love what I do. And I don't golf. I don't play guitar. I go to see live music, of course, but
you couldn't do that during COVID.
Yeah. So it's like, I found out that retiring is not in my DNA, so
gonna keep grinding. All right,
keep grinding.
Well, it's never too late, Paul. You could start. I never thought I'd be playing like I'm playing now. I mean, I always had clubs and I guess played, but it was for a while. I only played the once a year in the station tournament for quite a few years in a row. And I only just 5 years ago got the bug pretty badly again. So who knows for you, although you're way older than me. So I don't know, maybe it is too late for you.
I don't know about that. If you put us together, you look older than I do.
That's the gray beard, Paul. I'm going to shave the beard.
We'll ask your son. We're going to stand next to each other. We'll ask your son, who looks older?
So what do you make of I'll start on Zach Benson. That's the latest news today. Kevin Weeks says the Sabres, and this is not shocking, are working towards a long-term, pretty significant contract with Zach Benson. I said it this way to Brian, and I said it this way to Joe Yurden. Like it feels to me like the highest approval rating you might ever get for a Sabres contract. I think there'll be very few people going, yeah, but he's only so young, or he's so little, or he only scored 40 points, or whatever. I think right now we're in a torrid love affair with Zach Benson, and 7 years, $7 million, sign me up.
Well, I got a story for you. In Montreal, I was at my favorite restaurant getting Montreal meat on top of spaghetti, and it's awesome. But I was sitting at the bar, and of course, there are going to be Montreal Canadian fans all sitting at the bar. The bartender knew I was from Buffalo and mentioned it, and so I said to everybody, all right, who's your favorite Sabre? Every single person there said Benson. Every single one. That's who if they could pick anybody off the Sabre roster, every Montreal Canadian fan sitting in that bar would have picked Benson. So that gives you an idea what people around the league think of him too.
Mm-hmm. So full speed ahead, right? I mean, there's no buyer beware in your opinion?
No, and
right.
I think from an offensive standpoint, I've said from the beginning, he came up at 18. I said, look, he has scored goals in every level, every league he's been in. But I don't think he's going to walk into the National Hockey League at 18 years old and score 25 goals. I just didn't think he would, and he didn't. But it seemed like about midway through this season, maybe a little later than that, it was before the playoffs, he started showing some offensive skill. Well, his first goal ever showed a lot of offensive skill, if you remember it, through the legs. And and he was starting to pile up some points in the last, 30 games or so of the season. And then in the playoffs, he started scoring some big goals. And scoring, not just goals going in off your elbow or something. I mean, scoring some goals type of a scenario. So I feel there's still more to come on the offense. There, of course, are all the intangibles that he brings. And the minus that he had, Lindy Ruff got out of him. His last year, not this past year, the year before, he would take a lot of stupid penalties with all his shenanigans. Lindy Ruff sat him down and told him, look, you got to stop taking the penalties. I don't mind the shenanigans, but you got to know where the line is. And you got to stop putting us shorthanded. And he did. There weren't too many times last year that he took dumb penalties that made them shorthanded. And he was in a lot of garbage going on, but when it went on, he usually took somebody with him, or he would draw the penalty. So that was really the only minus that you could say really hurt the team, and he figured out a way to get it out of his game, but still play his game. And so I don't think it's a little more than I would have thought, or what the reporting was. But no, I don't think it's. A lot of people thought, well, Samuelsson really got overpaid. Well, they're not saying it at the end of this year. A lot of people thought Thompson, wow, he got overpaid. Yeah, not really. Not when you're looking at what he's making now, and he's probably wishing he didn't sign a long-term deal at a younger age.
I would need
that was the thing to do in the NHL back when he signed that.
Yeah, I would need to do a deep dive to confirm this, but it feels like Samuelsson, that contract has to be in the running for the best contract in the league right now, with the level
and
he
people
played
hated
at
that
last year.
contract for how many years?
Yeah, right. No, a year ago, we were talking about this earlier in the week. I don't remember what day. The GMs, someone called us. Do you think the people running these teams pay attention to the fans or to what you guys say or whatever? I'm like, well, here's an example of why you shouldn't, because we all wanted Samuelsson bought out off the team after last year and how he didn't respond against the Devils when Thompson got hit. That was really the flashpoint. His play was poor all along, but when he didn't show up for that, it was like, that's it, I'm done. Get off my team, right? And not only did the Sabres hold steady there, they're getting paid off for the next however many years, assuming Samuelsson stays at the level he's at. That $4.5 million, he should be for the way he played last year, he should be getting paid somewhere between what Power and Dahlin are getting paid.
Right. I know Byram will be our next topic, but he's kind of one of the reasons why Byram basically has told the Sabres, you got a year and I'm leaving. He can't get the role that he wants playing with the Buffalo Sabres. And what Frank Saravelli said on his podcast is something that we said last summer when we were talking about contracts for Byram. It has nothing to do with the city of Buffalo. It has nothing to do with the Buffalo Sabres organization. It has nothing to do with his teammates. He loves his teammates. He has a great time with them. He likes the organization. He likes what it's turned into. He likes the city of Buffalo. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with he wants to be a number one defenseman, and he has an agent who will take guys to free agent, and they basically have told the Sabres, no matter what, even if he's traded, he is going to go test free agency. So I think, are we ready to jump into this?
Yeah, sure. Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't. I wanted to make sure we didn't short shrift the other topic.
No. All good.
It's what you there's a number of things you can do, because this is kind of a little bit like the Reinhart thing. Reinhart had one more year before unrestricted free agency, told the Sabres he wouldn't re-sign, and that gave Adams the opportunity to make the trade to get Levi and a draft pick that turned into Kulik. So again, the Sabres have a year. They could do what they've done with Tuck and make him a rental.
Mm-hmm.
If their own rental, if they wanted to run it back, if they wanted to do that, or they can do what they did with Reinhart and find some type of a deal that would help both sides, or find out does Byram have a team he's thinking of, or two teams that he's thinking of, and see if you can rattle their cage a little bit and see what they're thinking. And let's say he wanted to go to Team A. And you call Team A, and Team A goes, you know what? We were kind of thinking of him. What would it take to get him here? So they could sign him to the 8-year deal if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility. There are options right now that you can still do if he has done you the favor of letting you know that, I'm going to unrestricted free agency. The problem with that is, though, too, with other teams, they know they're basically getting a rental too, unless it's a team that he really wants to go to.
Right.
But if it's not, you're not going to get the value you want if everybody knows, I'm only going to get him for a year and he's going to test free agency.
Yeah, no, you want to try to place him in a place where he wants to sign for the 7 or the 8, whatever. Otherwise you're not. He's not the key piece in a Matthew Nyes trade if he's only playing in Toronto for a year. There's just no way that Toronto's doing that. So
Toronto might have just finished that with Radish.
Yeah, well, possibly. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, very different type players, but sure. I mean,
money wise though.
Yeah. Oh, sure. That's right. Yeah. We'll see. They might. Who knows? Maybe they'll move Riley, and that would open up another spot.
Sure.
Sure. And we'll see where that ends up. All right, Paul. Our time is at an end. Enjoy. Enjoy the volatility of the weather. It seems like it's nice again now, right? Are we in the clear? I think we're in the clear. I think the weather's gone.
I had a thunderstorm for about 15 minutes, and it's blue sky, white clouds. I'll be on my way to the Bison game before too long, and it's beautiful out.
Giddy up. Well, enjoy. Are you doing the game, or are you just going to the game?
No, tomorrow I'm doing tomorrow's game, so today is my scouting trip.
All right. Good deal, Paul. Enjoy that. Thanks for carving out a little time for us today, and enjoy the weekend. We'll catch up next week.
Take care.
That's our dude Paul Hamilton on the Wester Hotline. His appearances with us here on WGR brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this. We'll hit up a timeout. Rory almost holed out from the fairway, by the way. He was 109 yards out. I imagine that was like a 80-degree wedge he hit from there or something. Yeah, I'm exaggerating. It just missed going in. I mean, just missed. So he's back under par, and the bogey train stopped. For him. What a shot. Holy cow. All right, timeout at hand. I'm the Bulldog. This is WGR. I'll never forget that. Excuse me. Him also missing both Nyheim Hines kick returns because he was in the bathroom. Nice. Tough one there. Let's see. Justin says, my dad used to work swing shift, so we'd be off during the week. In 1989, one morning, he took my brothers and I to watch the Sabres practice at the Saberland practice facility. I got to meet Mogilny during his rookie year. I like that one a lot. A couple of coworkers former coworkers. Howard Simon, much more than a coworker to me. My mentor. He took me under his wing when I interned at WBEN in the summer of '94. My dad taught me about sports and broadcasting, but the most important lessons I learned from him were about being a good husband and a good father. That was what he left as his legacy. Of course, he did convince me to be a Mets fan, but I'll let that one not count against him. And one more from, this is Tom Puckett from our newsroom, WBEN. I'll share a couple. When I was a preschooler, my dad would teach me how to skate. He said, take your time. I would skate and ask back, take my time, and he would nod. Annie and I would treat our dads to a Bison's game on Father's Day, take great pride in buying a beer for my dad for all the things he did for me. I also took the same pride in buying a beer for Annie's dad. We miss them both. Thanks to you guys and everyone who got in on that. Definitely appreciate it. I hope y'all have a fantastic time. I did all the yard work today before the rain came, before I got here. So I'm in the clear. I got golf tomorrow, and tomorrow afternoon is kind of like one of my last days as a bachelor. I know that sounds weird because I've been married for 27 years as of today, but I think my wife is working her final overnight shift. She's been on overnights for a very long time, and I think her last one is tomorrow night. So tomorrow after golf and like whatever I have in the afternoon, I pretty much have had my Saturday afternoons entirely to myself for 5 years or more. I don't even know. So pretty thankful to have that end. I mean, I know, right? It sounds great, but believe me, it's way better with her next to me. So I look forward to that as well. Hope y'all enjoy your dads, and you got some golf in the offing here, Zach, for the weekend?
No, I am going up to Canada, though, tomorrow. We're going to be stopping over at IKEA. So that should be fun. Yeah, new apartment, furniture shopping. So it should be a good time. Good. Father's Day stuff is done today, so we're good.
Okay, good. Well, happy Father's Day to your dad as well. And all the dads out there. We will reconvene here at the top of the hour, get you our conversation with our buddy Joe Yurden on the Sabres and the offseason so far on WGR.